Hey, welcome to the channel. Today's video, I'm going to take the knife out of my Leatherman Micra and get rid of it and replace it with my house key. To get started, we need to find out the depth of our key to make sure we don't cut our key too short. Once you've identified that, we have that marked off, over to the clamp to heat up our Loctite so we can loosen up this pivot screw. Yes, I'm aware I'm using one of the largest pair of pliers that I have to work on one of the smallest multi-tools that I have. The humor is not lost on me. So the following portion would have been a bit simpler to take apart had I looked at the construction of the Micra beforehand. There are two back springs that are keeping tension on the open pair of scissors right now that I'm fighting. Had I closed the tool completely, it would have released the tension and I would have been able to pop out this pivot screw much, much easier. Now I'm just taping the key and the knife together so I can transfer the pattern that I need to cut out in shape in order to fit this into the Micra. At this point, take a little extra care when center punching where your drill bit's going to start. I was off just a hair and it caused some issues further down the line. So a couple extra seconds here to make sure you're centered will save you extra work later. I also have to add here that you should clamp this down. I was lucky that I didn't have this thing spin around and whack me in the fingers at all, but clamp it next time. Note how the hole is slightly off from template. Afraid I was going to make the hole too big, I ended up making the hole too small, so I just grabbed the next bit larger and re-drilled. As I fit this back together for testing, you can really see how off the template I am at this point. So I grab the fingernail file, the fingernail cleaner, and I use it as a scribe to mark off where I need to cut on the bandsaw. When making your cuts, try to be as careful as possible. At this moment right here is when I cut on the wrong side of the line, resulting in me having to flip my key around so the lock mechanism would work. Oh, look at that divot right there. That's horrible. So as I'm test fitting all these pieces back together and I realize how off my cut was at the bandsaw, I make the decision to flip the key over because there's enough meat to use for the lock mechanism. I neglected to think about the fact that I would lose the nail nick, making this a far harder tool to pull out of the Micra. But something kind of works out at the end, so just stay tuned and you'll see how that kind of comes together. Now just a little filing. I'm just kidding. Now a lot of filing to get this to be the shape that I want. The nice thing is that the key is much softer than the files, and it didn't take a lot of time to get this to where I need it to be. And in fact, it was a little easier to overdo it. So just kind of be careful at this point. What you're witnessing now is me attempting to try to show you the little, right there, that little lock cutout right there. That is for the back of the spring mechanism to lock in. Next up is thinning out your key. The stock for the key is going to be thicker than what will fit into the handle without binding things up. How much you're going to have to sand down is really going to come down to the make and manufacture of your key and whatnot. So just keep working at it until everything fits. There's no magic sauce on getting this thing back together. Just keep in mind that if you keep the tool closed, there will be no tension on those springs and it'll make manipulating the pivot a little bit easier. But otherwise, it's just putting pieces in back in the same correct order and wiggling things around and hoping they all pop into place correctly. It's at this moment I realized I put those pieces in wrong. I should have flipped them around if I can get this thing to focus, and now the tool doesn't close correctly. So, off camera, I fixed this. Excuse me. Nachos. So yes, my key is upside down from what my initial plan was. However, I think it works out better this way because now the key points down, and I don't know, I kind of like the way that looks better. I'm probably just justifying my my mix-up. One thing I do like that worked out is I was concerned I wouldn't be able to get the key out, but with this setup right here, sorry for getting super close to the camera here in my face, but there's a little nail nick right here, a little piece on the key that I can actually catch with my fingernail and pull out. So it's not, I ended up with a different placed nail nick. So I can still close this, pull this up, pull the key right out, put it in, pull it back up, and go. Alright everyone, thanks for coming along. Hope you learned something. If you've got any questions, please leave them down there in the comments. If you've made any modifications yourself, please let me know. I'd be curious to see. I know there's a few other people that are modding multi-tools, and I'd be curious to see what you guys are putting together. With that in mind, please like, subscribe. There's new content coming every couple of weeks, and it varies. As you can see, we did spiders last time, multi-tools this time. I don't even know what's coming up next. But if you subscribe, you'll hit that bell. You'll get notified when I put new content up. Thanks, and I'm out. I feel tired. Do I look tired?
The amateur hobbyist, 'cause life's too short for just one hobby. Get ready for exploring, tinkering, and problem solving. Get ready for some hobby fun that's great for everyone.